In this video, we're going to talk about my inexpensive portable dust system that travels around my teeny tiny shop and comes on when I turn on my tools. Check this out. Alright, so here's the components of the portable vacuum system. First of all, we have two 5-gallon buckets. This is where we're going to have our sawdust go. This is a head unit for a vacuum. It's designed specifically to fit on 5-gallon buckets. It's pretty powerful and it's cheaper than most shop vacs. And then this is the Theme baffle. This baffles out the sawdust when it comes in and drops it into this bucket. Commercial unit, you could make one of these. We have a lot of things to do here, so we just went with the commercial unit so that we could get it done faster. The other component we're going to have is this device here. This is an electronic switch that you plug your tool into, whether it's the router, the saw, whatever it is you're using, and then the vacuum unit plugs into the other one. When you fire up your tool, it fires up this. When you stop using your tool, it waits about 5 seconds and then it powers this down. So the vacuum keeps running for several seconds after you stop using your tool automatically. Very good. Highly recommend these. We're going to incorporate this into our build today.
We tried to use scrap wood for this project to keep the cost down. So the first step was to cut a 12 by 24 inch sheet from an old tabletop that we had salvaged. Then I cut 12 and 25 inch strips out of thinner wood to use for the sides. These strips were sliced down the middle to give two 2.5 inch strips for each one, giving us a total of 4 strips to form around the bottom of the base. Then all 4 strips were glued around the base. Clamps were applied to hold everything together since we didn't use nails or anything. And when the clamps were removed, the base was complete. Then it was time to add some paint. Gray will do fine here. This vacuum is portable, so the next step was to attach the casters to the base. We use plastic casters as opposed to rubberized ones because we have pretty high heat in this area and these hold their shape better. The labels on the buckets are sanded off because we like to use our own stickers, thank you very much. Also, we needed the buckets to be clear so they could be translucent. See, with a sanded off bucket we can now see the sawdust inside so we know when the bucket's full.
The actual vacuum in our portable vacuum system is called a power lid. It's just a vacuum cleaner unit that connects to a 5-gallon bucket. So it's smaller in profile than what you would have with a normal shop vac, but it clips right on and it has a filter on it and all the normal parts, and it's about 3 horsepower. It's not quite as powerful as a lot of the ones out there, but this was $35 and you can get a couple of these buckets for $2 or $3 a piece. So you can have a very inexpensive system that's small, portable, easy to stash in a small place like this garage here, but it works really well with another 5-gallon bucket. And if you think about it, if you're using a baffle like this to separate your sawdust, the point of this is to keep this bucket from ever getting any sawdust at all. So if you've got a large shop vac connected to a baffle like this, your shop vac is going to be empty. That's good, but it's also going to eat up a lot of space. So this allows us to just go with a small 5-gallon bucket that will probably never have anything in it, and this is the bucket that captures the sawdust. So about $35. Pretty powerful for its size. It can actually collapse smaller buckets like this, less strong buckets. So it's strong enough for the job, but that's the vacuum.
Here's a closer look at the power lid, and I've linked it below. The vertical supports are cut from some scrap 2x4. The 2x4 sections are attached to the base with screws. Why are the 2x4s 2 different widths? Well, that just happens to be the scrap we had laying around. Always save your scraps. You never know when you're going to use them. And when you do use them, you're saving money. And of course, we all know that money is better used for pizza. A second set of strips was cut, identical to the first step, so we won't bore you by showing you us cutting them, and we used the drill press to cut pilot holes to make it easier to attach. These top strips will hold the buckets in place so they won't move around while the vacuum is being moved around the shop and used. They're also going to provide support for the outlet we're about to attach. And here's that outlet now. It's called the eye socket Intelligent Auto Switch, and it accepts two plugs. One plug is for the tool you will be using, and the second plug is for the vacuum that will be collecting dust from that tool. You plug your tool into the top receptacle and the shop vac into the bottom. When the tool is used, the eye socket detects that the tool is being used and turns the shop vac on. When the tool stops being used, the eye socket keeps the shop vac running for 5 seconds and then shuts it off. This allows your shop vac to collect as much dust as possible while running only when you are actually using your router, saw, death ray, or whatever other tool you have plugged into the eye socket. This type of gadget is exactly what we were referring to when we say better living through science. Here's the back of the eye socket. To hold the eye socket in place where it could be easily accessed, yet another 2x4 was used. A hole is drilled to allow a power cord to pass through the wood. This was cheaper and easier than putting a receptacle in place, and we didn't really need one anyway, so we just went with the power cord through the wood. Holes are drilled for the 6 zip ties that will hold the eye socket in place. Again, inexpensive, easy to do, and easily reversible if we ever need the eye socket somewhere else. Once all 6 zip ties were in place, they were trimmed back to clean it up. You can see how the power cord comes in from behind in this view. The eye socket, now securely mounted to its 2x4 support and with its power cord installed, is screwed onto the front of the vacuum cart. Mounting the eye socket high up on the cart like this makes it easy to access later on when we use our tools. The vacuum bucket is lowered into place and plugged into the bottom socket of the eye socket. A divider is put in place, and then the dust collector is put in the other side of the cart.
There's all kinds of separators out there, so don't take this as the one that you have to have. This is the one we use because we wanted it to be very low profile. But there are other ones, arguably better ones out there that you can get that you can hook in to a rig like this.
There are lots of dust separators out there. Choose the one that's right for your adventure. But be sure not to choose the wrong one.
But when you get a separator, a commercial separator, they'll usually come with the hose, something like this. Well, our job here is to make this as short as possible. And as you can see, this isn't short. So I'm going to take some other hose that I've got and make a much shorter version of this so that we can keep the low profile we need for our portable shop vac.
The hose was cut as short as we needed it, and it was all made better with duct tape, because duct tape fixes everything. Just a little bit of effort and duct tape, and look how well this hose fits.
So now we have a complete unit. I'm going to plug this drill in to show you how this device works. When the tool runs, it triggers the vacuum to run. The vacuum will continue running for several seconds after the tool runs. Now, you probably wouldn't use a dust collector with the drill, but think about this being a router or a table saw or something. So watch this. So it runs just a few seconds after you finish whatever cutting you're doing, and that continues the suction and the collection of dust here in the dust bin. So it's a really good little product. It does the job, and we use it here in the shop a good bit, but now we built it into a unit that we can move around, and it's all in one piece. It's pretty small, smaller than most shop vacs as you can get, so and cheaper.
Now it's time to see the whole thing in action.
Well, the portable dust cart does its job. It's small, it's easily stowed, it cleans up dust, it makes the shop a lot cleaner. It's a really great device to have around. Combine this with an air cleaner and you're gonna have a pretty dust-free shop, and you can have it even if you have a tiny shop like I have. If you like this sort of thing, please subscribe and ring that bell because we're always building more stuff. In fact, there's stuff right here at my feet. This is one of our upcoming projects. So many things to show you. Subscribe, we'll see you later.